All right. Hey guys, Dr. Greg. Let's talk about all things inflammation. What is inflammation? What does it do inside the body? And specifically, the role of inflammation in autoimmunity. It was the cover of Time magazine a long time ago, and it talked about how inflammation is truly the underlying root of many chronic diseases. And I tell you guys, right now there's, I believe, over 200 different diagnosed autoimmune diseases. And the reality is we're not making headway on this. Yes, there's lots of medical approaches, there's biologics, there's lots of really expensive drugs, but the reality is they're not moving the needle when it comes to overall health. So let's take 3 steps back. What is the correlation between inflammation and autoimmunity? You see, when you're inflamed, you have to have the assumption that the body is inflamed for a good reason, right? The body responds appropriately to its environment. So when we get a test back and we look at inflammatory markers, things like high sensitivity C-reactive protein, things like homocysteine, we have to assume then that the body's responding appropriately to what's going on. Now, when the body's under an inflammatory load, that puts a stressor on the immune system. Because many things can cause inflammation. Liver stress can cause inflammation. Infection can cause inflammation. A stressful diet, a poor diet can cause inflammation. A stressful lifestyle can cause inflammation. Chronic infection, chronic toxicity, these things all can cause inflammation in the body. And by the way, the answer is not an anti-inflammatory. The answer is when you understand that the body responds appropriately to its environment, we have to get curious. We have to take 3 steps back and put our head on a swivel and say, what's going on here? Now, at the root of it all, when your body is inflamed, your immune system becomes suppressed. Chronic inflammation and being immunocompromised or immunosuppression is in play. So what happens then? The analogy that I talk about inside of this is your body becomes kind of like a frat house without a bouncer. Now, that may sound kind of funny, but think of it, right? If there's a frat house and there's no bouncer, it means anybody can come in. There's no gatekeeper that says, hey, you don't get to come in here. Or you can come in, but you're in and out because I've got my eyes on you and my team is aware of you. But what happens, inflammation depresses the immune system, and then you are susceptible. I believe that so every single day you're susceptible to molds and infections. And if your immune system is robust and it's doing great, it is literally the gatekeeper at the frat house. But what happens when inflammation overtakes the immune system and you're being bombarded by these things, and if you're listening to this, you're probably like, oh my gosh, I feel like a frat house without a bouncer, right? What happens is then they can come in and the immune system can't kick them out, and then they go set up shop. And if that's you over years and decades, then you become a medical mystery, right? You are confusing doctors literally around the world. The average person that comes to see us has seen 3 plus, many times 5 plus different doctors before they come and find us, because they're trying to say, oh, they try to isolate it to a system, or they isolate it to a need of a medication, when in reality, the body responds appropriately to its environment. So we have to take a step back. Now, for action steps. So let's talk inflammation. What are the things that we can do right now without drugs, without surgery, even without supplements? What are the things what's the low-hanging fruit that we can do, you can do right now to start looking at inflammation? So the first thing is we have to look at our diet. Now, by the way, no, this is not a Dr. Greg diet or here's the magic diet. By the way, diets don't fix the immune system, but diets can alter the immune system and cause inflammation and take that immune system's focus away from things. So things that cause inflammation: white stuff, sugar, white flour, processed foods. You guys, if you cannot pronounce an ingredient or read an ingredient on a label, you shouldn't be eating it, right? Most of the food in today's world, I mean, my goodness, I have kids that are in the public school system, and I look at the school menu and I'm like, no wonder why there's ADHD. No wonder why there's attention issues. No wonder why these kids are not in a place where they can learn properly. No wonder why. And then we have families that are busy and yeah, you need to eat, and we don't always have time to make good quality meals. So then we're having things that have seed oils, like damaged fats, Damaged fats in the food world, next to white stuff, damaged fats are the next thing that are known to cause inflammation in the body. You guys need to understand that every single cell in your body is covered by what's called a phospholipid bilayer, fancy word for a double layer of fat around every cell. And it's the fats that we consume dietarily that are the makeup of that phospholipid bilayer. So if you're consuming damaged fats in your diet, then your poor cell is less able to process, and your immune system is burdened with that. By the way, it does take on average at least 2 weeks for your body to detoxify and clear when we consume like those damaged seed oils, for example. The next thing that we can do for inflammation is you got to move. And I'm not saying go sign up for a CrossFit gym or go sign up for a marathon. Go for a walk. If any of you have followed me on social media for any time, you've seen me on walks. And that movement allows your lymphatic system to move fluids through your body more effectively. And here's the thing, you're like, Dr. Greg, I am so inflamed that I can't go for a 3 or 5 mile walk. That's okay. Walk around your house. Go walk to the end of the block and back. You got to start somewhere. You see, you don't have to be great to start, but to be great, you have to start. Zig Ziglar, one of my favorite mentors, has stated that many, many times. So we have to look at that. We also have to look at, are we able to take our immune system and slow it down? And really, that immune system and your nervous system are intimately associated. And what the research is telling us right now is the best way to do that is through breath work. Simple things like a box breath has the ability. So a box breath is you breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds or 3 or 5. You hold that breath in for 4 seconds, you breathe out for 4 seconds, then you hold that breath out. That's a box, and you can hopefully tie about 20 of those together. And what that does is it soothes your central nervous system, which then tells your immune system, I'm good, we're good. We have the ability to slow down, because I don't need to talk about stress, right? But it's worthwhile to look at stress. Who are you hanging out with? Do you love your job? Do you love the people you work with? Do you have the ability to take time for yourself? Do you value yourself enough? Because there's a word that's used that I don't like. It's called being selfish. And the reality is you need to be selfish. You need to prioritize yourself on the journey. So those are just a couple things that can help like start to work with inflammation so that your immune system can get a foot up and you can live the life you're designed to.